And tonight, one of the most colourful and respected figures in US politics, American lobbyist and former Republican Party politician Bob McEwan. Bob, welcome to Mark Dolan tonight. What was it about your upbringing and early years that shaped your political outlook?
Well, I grew up in a rural area at a time was not unlike currently. That is that it seemed in the 1970s the world was falling apart. As you know, we had Callahan and Jimmy Carter and Helmut Schmidt, and just the world was coming to an end any day.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, with Thatcher and Kohl and Reagan, by the end of the beginning of the 1990s, the world was a different place. And I couldn't understand why the old timers were not as frightened as I was. But what I learned was they'd been through the Depression of the 30s and World War II. And now as I see the chaos in our current leadership, I'm optimistic that with the proper thing done at the polls that we can correct all of this.
Well, you're absolutely right to say that there are echoes now of the past, the same here in the UK. You were elected at the age of 24 to the Ohio House of Representatives. That was in 1974. 50 years ago. You're looking good for it. How has America changed since then?
Well, it has changed in the point that the principles that made America work, the liberals really got into the academic institution and felt that we could do better. And rather than understanding that the American free enterprise system was the magnet that drew people to America, they said that somehow or another diversity was what our strength was. And that somehow or another, if we took people from areas where the people were escaping and we enculturated what their dynamics into our culture, that would benefit us, that would make things better in Europe and the United States. I think we're beginning to see that isn't so wise, and I think that is the most significant difference that I see.
Although hasn't America always had diversity in a sense? I mean, my family are Irish, and half of them went off to Washington in the 1960s, for example.
Mark, absolutely. But the significant was that people came to America. We had the lowest, the weakest underpinning for poverty. That is, everybody in Europe looked down on America because you had to work or you struggled. And so people came to America to become Americans. And once we began to lift the hammock, as we call it, not a safety net, and where people could come to this country and live better sitting on their butt, and they could have a higher standard of living than they had where they came from, and they have their free cell phones and air conditioning and unlimited food stamps and health care, they think, well, why should I work? And that's the distinction between our parents. Mine came from Scotland. I hope we're still friends. In the process of becoming American, now they want to still wave their foreign flag and not incorporate the American dream. That's what leadership can change. Reagan changed it, and I believe we can change it as well.
Going to America to become Americans, I think that puts it very well. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, Donald Trump will be the Republican candidate in the race for the White House in November. But Bob, do you have mixed feelings about Trump as the candidate? He's not really a Republican as such, is he? And he's certainly no Ronald Reagan.
Well, he's more similar, and if I may say so, Mark, I remember those days. I was Reagan's chairman in Ohio in 1976 when we lost by 11 votes in the convention, and then we got Jimmy Carter and Iran and all the rest that goes with it.
Yeah.
So when he came in 1980, when he came in during the 80s, he was despised. I remember 500,000 people demonstrating in Paris against this terrible man that was going to blow up the world, Ronald Reagan. I remember 250,000 demonstrating in Berlin, a city that was surviving because of his generosity. So when we say these things about Donald Trump, it's not all that different from what they did about Ronald Reagan. The frustration with the left is always that they prove to be right. And when America economy took off, and when the stock market in Beijing fell by 47% after 4 years of Donald Trump's leadership, that's what frustrates the big money interests, because they don't want to see freedom and free enterprise and democracy triumph. They want to have a world global government. And so this is a fight between the World Economic Forum and a man that has the guts to fight it, Donald Trump.
Is woke killing America, Bob?
It can. We just have to make sure that it doesn't.
And how bad are things on the US border at the moment? I understand that illegal immigration was in excess of 3.5 million people last year alone. That's 1% of the population in a year.
Every year. And every month, the population of Dayton, Ohio, comes across the border. It's a deliberate effort by the Democrat Party to change America. And whenever you confront them with it, then they always throw up racism and not debate the topic. We don't care about the race of the people. We care about people coming here illegally. Quickly, let me say, you're willing to rent your home to a person who you know their name and they give you the money up front, but you don't walk off and leave the door unlocked, because the person that comes in then treats the place entirely different as a squatter. When people come illegally, well, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs don't come illegally, because if they do, they can't get the licenses and the wherewithal to prosper. And what Joe Biden has chosen to do is to allow millions of people. We allow legally more immigrants than the rest of the world combined. Now we allow 4 to 5 times that to come illegally in the last 3 years, and the nation is paying a severe price for it.
Bob McEwan, a privilege to have you on the show. Do come back again soon. A fascinating conversation. My thanks to you.